Discovery, Houston with you through Hawaii and Tidris, and we got a pretty good picture here.
Ground clear, Jay. Clear fast, fight of what you see. We're ready to stow the arm.
Okay, we've got a fairly grainy picture yet because of the lighting, I think. Dave, can you give us a couple words on what you see there?
Yeah, Jerry, there's no problem at all. Interference between the ice water and rock stick with the open spots at the back of the vehicle. There's at least 18 inches clearance between any structure of the vehicle and the two devices. There may be some interference, so we start rolling the end effector in with the camera, and we'll just have to take a look at that as it starts rolling in.
Okay, do you have any suggestions on which is the best orientation for the Bravo camera? And Jeff, if you
I
can...
think we looked at that a little bit while you were LOS. I think if we just point the camera straight up, that'll probably provide the least clearance.
Okay, understand straight up, and I guess you can give them some vectors on that. And Jeff, if you can stay up so we can see with the Charlie camera, appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, that gives us a real good picture. Let me see if everybody's ready to start rolling in.
Yeah, now you got it going in the right direction. Okay, hold it right there and let's roll in again. Roll the arm. Houston, you have the picture?
Discovery, Houston, caution for the EVA folks. We see your end effector light on. We want to make sure you stay well clear of that.
Copy. Roger, understand. The only interference that exists is the wire on the lacrosse stick touches the B camera, the trailing end of the B camera past the pivot point. All the other structure of the orbiter is totally clear of the fly swatter and the lacrosse stick, and we are rolled in at this time.
Okay, understand all that, and give me the location of the PRD hooks as it's stowed in this condition.
Broke up on your last transmission, Jerry.
Okay, the question is the location of the PRD hooks as they're stowed in this location.
Copy the question is, but I can't hear the question. The question was what is the location of the PRD hooks? Understand. PRD hooks are, they're totally inboard. They should be able to see it on camera C. The PRD hooks are outboard. Oh, the hooks are outboard, okay. And they look like they appear to me like they'll be well clear of the doors. They're in a plane with the NPN. Alright, the hard structure point, both the fly swatter and the lacrosse stick I estimate to be 16 inches from the aft bulkhead.
Discovery, we'd like to get a couple other camera views. We'd like a wrist camera first. Okay, thank you for that view. We'd like an A camera view now, please.
We're having a little trouble with the A camera. It's called up and we can't get it into ALC normal. We have two lights, the peak and average, and we can't get it into normal, and I can't open the iris manually either.
Okay, copy that. We'll take the elbow.
You may have to wait till it gets a little bit lighter. The sun's coming up.
Copy that.
the elbow camera is zoomed in all the way, and I think that's probably what you're looking at now.
Okay, understand, Don. Thanks.
Okay, we got the A camera for you now whenever you're ready to look at it.
Okay, we're ready.
We're zoomed all the way in, and I guess that's not too useful from our point of view.
No worries. Thank you, Don. Okay, I got a couple of words for you. Get ready to wrap it up.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay, first of all, we're very, very happy with what we've seen. You guys have done super work. What we'd like to do, first of all, is to roll the arm back out to the rolled out position and do it slowly, letting David make sure that nothing gets snared as we do it.
Okay.
And then after that's
You're going
complete,
to do that right now?
yes sir, after that's complete, then we've got a couple other things in the way of cleanup and a little more inspection of the cradle.
Okay, we'll start deploying it right now. Dave, we're going to roll it back out again. You hear what they said? No, I only hear about 25% of what's being said.
Yeah, it's really cutting out pretty bad.
Okay, we'll repeat it. We're going to roll it out a little bit at a time. They want to make sure that nothing snags. It's clear. Okay, understand. I'm clear. Okay, here we go.
Roger.
Okay, Houston, do you read EV1?
Roger, Jeff, loud and clear.
Okay, I'm right down at the keel, looking at the umbilical pins, the umbilical connectors, and I see nothing out of the ordinary. I see no broken wires of any sort, no bent pins. Both of the steel cables are intact on each side of the umbilical. So I see nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, copy that. That's a good report, and we've already got your report from the other portion of the cradle we were interested in. Appreciate that.
Take a glance over your right shoulder, David.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
Didn't figure you'd want to miss that. Yeah, okay, you guys are clear to start back up forward here and go ahead with the nose tree.
Okay, basically, we've tried to make a list of the things that we think you've had out there. I'd like the guys to go ahead and restow both the mini workstations in the starboard PSA. Make sure that both PSA doors are fully closed and they're secured with the little straps. Make sure that all of the things that were left in the airlock are still there and are secured. And also like to make sure that they account for all the tethers.
Okay, copy. Both mini workstations stowed, the PSA doors closed and straps fastened. All the airlock equipment is still there where it's supposed to be, and all the tethers are accounted for.
Roger that, and the way we understood it, there ought to be 4 wrist tethers and a total of 4 waist tethers. And then just the Increst Q card ought to cover the rest of it.
Okay. we're going to take command of the TV here so that we can watch our people.
Okay, Bo, thank you.
Let's go, Dave. Okay, I got my evening workstation in, Dave, then I'll take yours.
Wait a second. Get this PSA all locked up first before I get into it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Discovery, Houston for Dave.
Go ahead.
Okay, David, I'm glad to inform you that all the scorecards have been tallied, and for a degree of difficulty, we gave you a 10. Form was a 0.2.
0.2. Come on, Jerry.
Call when you're ready, Dave.
Yeah, I am just working on this damn snap.
Oh, I remember that snap, remember?
Got one on your side there, don't you?
Yeah, but I can't close it yet until we get the workstations put away.
Oh, okay.
Got a nice picture of you on the elbow camera.
I can see the omnipresent eye staring at us. What's the land over on the starboard side over there?
Okay, I got it.
Hey,
Before you get back in the airlock, stand there and take a bow.
okay,
Both of you.
wonder, maybe we'll also just come up and wave at you through the windows. How about that?
Nah, come on in. We need to get you in, and if you just stand in front of the airlock, face the elbow camera and take a bow.
Discovery, Houston.
Go ahead.
Okay, Don, before the guys get inside, we've lost Dave's biomed, and we've also trying to troubleshoot the scratchy or intermittent comm he got. We'd like the two guys to swap their comm modes. And before you do that, a reminder that it'll take a couple seconds for it to come back up.
Stand by.
job, Jeff. Hear what Jerry says. I thought the form was at least a 2.
Sure you turn around and take a barrel like Ray says, Dave?
I did.
Oh, okay. Let's do it together. Come on.
Turn around and take a bow for the elbow camera.
You ready?
Yeah, I gotta turn this way.
Okay. Oh. In we go.
And Discovery Houston, you just got a round of applause. Thanks for the work.
Hey, you're welcome. And as a reminder, they wanted a status check before you go on SCUs.
Oh, okay. Dave? Yeah. Let's get the status check.
Sure. Bye, just a minute till I get my pencil here.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hey, Dave, when they told us a 3-hour EVA, guess what the time is?
Hours?
2:55.
55. Concur. Go ahead, you lead.
Okay. Time left, 4:40. 63% power.
420 on 61%.
69% oxygen.
74% oxygen.
Food pressure 4.3.
4.3.
Oxygen 609.
644.
SOP 6180.
6130.
Sublimator 2.6.
2.6.
Battery volts 16.7.
16.6.
Amps 3.3.
3.5.
RPM 19.6.
19.8.
CO2 0.3.
0.3.
Water temp 5.1.
5.4.
Gas and water 15.0, 14.9.
15.3 over 15. And I missed your time remaining on both of you. Say those again, please.
Mine I believe was 4:40. Let me check again. Now it says 4:30.
410 on 60%. Power. I got it.
Mine says now 62% power.
Roger, I got that. Okay, yeah, there's my,
Let me give you the left. Gotta get my left tether down here.
yeah. Ready, copy, David.
Okay, Don, I got a couple of messages for you. First, we'd like you to maneuver back to the plus Z track attitude.
Okay, and can we start that now?
And you're clear to start that maneuver at this time. Also, on the next
You
rev,
grab onto my foot.
we're planning to do FCS checkout part 1. We'd like to fit that into your schedule during the TDRS pass, so just for your planning purposes. And per the pre-flight conversations and our planning, we would like you to do FCS checkout part 1 on Vernier jets. The change to the procedure will be in the OrbitOps checklist on pages 7-9, 7-10, and 7-13. And all your DAP callouts will be A1 Auto Vern.
Okay, and I understand we're going to do that this afternoon, is that right?
That we'd like to start the FCS checkout this next rev TDRS pass.
Oh, okay, next rev, Peters. I missed the first part of it because the EVA guys were talking. Okay, we got it.
And before you do the transition to Ops 8, we would like a G2 software dump, and that is DPS SSR2. And this is to help us out with our ADI troubleshooting.
Okay.
Okay, Bo and Don, during APU shutdown during ascent, we saw an unexplained load on APU 3. And this was exhibited in the chamber pressure and the turbine speed strip chart traces. So while we don't believe that there's a problem with APU 3, we only saw this data for about 21 seconds and did not have enough time to totally isolate the load source. So to help determine the source, we propose that we're going to run APU 3 for 8 minutes during FCS checkout. And that will give us plenty of time to stabilize the system and acquire the data that we need.
Okay, copy that.
Okay, and I've got a couple FCS checkout APU ops deltas too.
You want to hang on to those for a minute while I get it started back into those plus seats
Oh.
data, dude?
Sure thing.
O2 valves are open.
Alright. Got power, battery, charger, EMU 1 and 2. Bus select 2 to main A.
Yeah, that's not a check, that's a do, isn't it?
That's a do.
Okay. EMU1 coming to main A, EMU2 come to main A.
Okay, power on the DMC to SCU forward.
NNC going to FCU power.
Okay, I'm on SCU. Okay, I logged you off of EVA. You had about 3 hours and 6 minutes. All right. Go ahead, Houston.
Roger, if you've got a moment, we'd like to get the status of the post-EVA entry prep.
Stand by just a second. Our EVAs are filming the flies, so stand by in a second.
Discovery Houston, we're about to go LOS Tidris. We'll talk to you at Guam next in 22 minutes.
We'll look for you at Guam.
Discovery Houston, we'd like to boil some water. We'd like rad out temp to high.
Ran out to high. Just came in a Sunrise tally-ho on the target, and it's right in the middle of the COS.
That's not a great picture you're getting now, but that's CENTCOM.
Okay, tally ho. Have you been able to discern any better the angle? We didn't get a whole lot out of the VTR.
No, the VTR, it bloomed too much. You know, as near as we can tell, it's vertical. By the time we got close enough, we were getting a pretty near vertical view of it. So I think, as I said, when it's pitched around another 90 degrees, we ought to be able to get a side view and get a real good angle determination.
Okay, based on what you've told us and what we can see, the best procedure that we can come up with is to use the fly swatter until all the rungs are gone. Then prior to rolling the RMS to get at the lacrosse stick, we'd like you to hit the lever with a cone.
Okay, copy. You're seeing now a view that we took through the RMS. You may get a better view of the lever here.
Okay, we're watching. And also to reiterate the flight rules that we passed up to you, if you put no force on the lever, you're go for another rev and another attempt if you need it. If you put any force on it at all, then we'd like you to complete the SEP maneuver after the end of the window.
And that picture that just went by, I'm afraid, was blooming too much. Okay, Houston, the pin is throwing a shadow on the back of the slot. There is a very slight space in there.
Discovery Houston, the window is closed. Perform the set maneuver.
We're just about to pick up the wrist if you guys want to switch and look at camera Charlie for a second.
Okay, thanks, Don. We'll switch back there.
It's Mission Control Houston, the control team taking a look at the end effector to see what the impact of the operation had been on the fly swatters and how securely they seem to be mounted to the end effector, and some of that impact damage visible there. And they're directly beneath the orbiter now, visible the
For you here,
west coast of...
so we can get a good look at it from all sides.
Okay, we see you doing that. Thank you.
west coast of South America, just visible below the orbiter, and now the crew rotating the end effector to show the ground control team the condition of the two fly swatters. It's Mission Control Houston at the flight director's questioning the RMU systems officer. Provides the opinion that there won't be any clearance problem in latching the remote manipulator system and enclosing the payload bay doors with the fly swatter and the lacrosse stick secured in place on the end effector.
And Discovery Houston, we're getting an excellent picture and have been for some time, and looks like everything's in great shape to us, other than a few rips and tears in the plastic.
Yeah, the wire's broken on the lacrosse stick, as you can probably see, and it looks like we may have gotten a 3-wire on the fly swatter.
For Dr. Sutton, in the CENTCOM salvage attempt yesterday, did it appear that you at any time moved the lever, and if so, how much?
Oh, we couldn't really tell whether we moved the lever or not. There was a lot of stuff in the way of our view. We know that we did at least twice catch the lever on our devices, once on the wire device and once on the plastic. We split the plastic on one of those attempts and we separated the wire on the other. We couldn't really tell whether we moved the lever at all.
And I think you can get some idea of the force that we put on the lever by the fact that before these operations the satellite was spinning twice a minute, and when we finished the satellite was spinning once a minute, and that's a big satellite. It takes quite a lot of force to slow it down that much.
Could you describe for us your feelings when the Omni antenna failed to slip into place or the spin rate accelerate?
What can you say? You know, we thought we had done everything exactly right, and I think we had. And it's just a disappointment when you go through all the training and then the final end product doesn't come out as you wish.
Betty Luman, United Press International.
I have a question for Dr. Seddon. Ray, what kind of confidence did you have when you first heard of the fly swatter and what you were going to have to do with it?
I'm sorry, you'll have to repeat the question. We lost you.
Okay. I asked, what kind of confidence did you have when you first heard of the fly swatter and what you would have to do with it?
Houston, com check. We're not hearing you.
Okay, Dr. Seddon, what kind of confidence did you have when you first heard of the fly swatter and what you would have to do with it? Okay, fourth time. What kind of confidence did you have when you first heard of the fly swatter and what you were going to have to do with it?
I'm sorry, it's breaking up. All we can hear are bits and pieces.
Okay, what kind of confidence did you have when you first heard of the fly swatter and what you were going to have to do with it?
Well, we knew that the people on the ground had worked pretty hard on putting something together. We weren't really sure what they wanted us to build, but bit by bit, the more they explained, and they sent up some very interesting teleprinter drawings, if you can believe that. And once we put it together, looked at it, and were told what we were supposed to do with it, I think we had pretty good confidence that it was going to work. We knew that all of our friends on the ground had probably done an awful lot of work putting the idea together, and we were confident that if anything was going to work,
ABC News.
For Senator Garn, now that you've had a taste of spaceflight, which would you rather be, a United States Senator or a working astronaut?
Jules, that's one of the easiest questions I've ever had to answer. If I were about 10 years younger, I'd choose a working astronaut over being a senator so fast it'd make your head swim.
John Getter, Channel 11, Houston. Senator Garn, here on the ground over the last couple of days, we have seen dozens of people working lots of hours to put together what became this contingency EVA operation and so on. Would you put on your reporter cap a second, please, and tell us overall what's been going on up there and what you think of it?
Well, I'd be happy to, because I've watched a fantastic crew do an incredibly good job under difficult circumstances. I've heard a lot over the years about the team in Houston trying to figure out what to do up here in space where you can't send up mechanics, you can't send up repairmen. And this was something new that none of this crew had ever tried before. But out of materials that were here aboard the spacecraft, they're able to make the so-called lacrosse stick and the fly swatter. We spent an afternoon doing it, and they worked very well. Unfortunately, it didn't start the satellite operating, but it was really a remarkable performance up here on what they put together, and to see the rendezvous was just a masterful job done by Bo and the rest of the crew to rendezvous with that satellite, and it's a big piece of machinery. Bring it down to within about 10 feet over the cargo bay, see it spinning above us, and then we're Ray working with the arm. I never will see a better performance than was put on by this crew trying to save that satellite. Truly remarkable.
Susan Starnes, Channel 2.
Let me just add that the senator was helping Ray fabricate the fly swatter. He was helping her sew the plastic together so that it wouldn't come loose.
Susan Starnes, Channel 2.
For Jeff Hoffman, what did the unplanned EVA show about the maturity of the space program and the use of the suits?
You know, I had the feeling when we went out there and did this that I think it showed that the fact that nobody ever expected us to do an EVA, and we were really trained for what we call a contingency EVA, which everybody considers highly unlikely. And yet I think Dave and I both felt 100% prepared to go out there and do everything we had to do. We have had very excellent training. I think it's a tribute to all the people in Houston who work on our training that we were able to go out and do this despite the fact that nobody ever expected us to before we went.
Hey, this gentleman from Salt Lake City on the end of the road there. Don Olson, KSL TV in Salt Lake City. Senator Garn, would you please tell us what contribution your being on this mission has made to America's space program?
Well, I suppose only time will tell. I have been able to go through all of the medical experiments required of me, those that I practiced for 3 months. And obviously I'm not able to interpret that data up here. But I certainly hope that adds to the knowledge that we need to have on space motion sickness and adaptability to space. So we'll have to wait for the results of that data. But I've plugged in all of the electrodes and put on all the devices and done everything that was asked of me to be done.
Frank Seltzer, Cable News Network.
Senator Garn, now that you've been in space as part of your legislative oversight, what are you going to be telling your colleagues when it comes to the NASA budget?
Well, the NASA budget is very complex. There's a lot of different line items in it, and obviously to ask a general question like that, I'm not in a position to say at this time. I certainly am going to have some recommendation on some parts of the NASA budget, but now is not the time to discuss that. There's a proper hearing process. There's a proper appropriations process. I have a counterpart on the House side, Congressman Boland, who's chairman of the House Appropriations Subcommittee, and I'll be carrying on discussions, and I will be making a formal report to the Senate over the next few weeks, and some good will come out of this trip, and I think some improvements in the NASA budget. But at this time, I can't give you any generalizations, as I'm going to recommend more or less or anything like that.
For Don Williams. Don, did Rat Stuff have it?
You bet.
Craig Kowald, Aviation Week. I've got a question for Charlie Walker. Charlie, part of the emphasis this flight has been for you to check for contamination in your biological sample, and that involves some innovative test hardware to incubate those tests. How did those tests go, and would it be possible for you to show us your test tube belt there if you're incubating any samples this morning?
Well, Craig, the answer is the tests have been going well. That is, I've had no indication of either microbial growth at the levels at which we're able to monitor, which are very low levels, that is well below acceptable maximum limits, and no endotoxin byproducts either. So the contamination problem appears not to be with us this mission, and the answer to the second part of your question is, yes, I'm wearing my incubation belt even now.
Mike Meacham, Gannett News Service.
Senator Garn, this trip started out to be a pretty routine space commercialization trip. You could see a little bit of everything that was going on. And with the extension, can you tell us what you think that shows you about the whole idea of doing commercial activities in space?
Well, first, as I've said before, I was tremendously impressed with the training program and NASA personnel, and in particular this crew. After having seen them in function in space for 7 days, and to go and do something that was completely unplanned, that was not in our crew action plan, that nobody talked about, nobody envisioned, nobody practiced for, I'm just tremendously proud of them. To see Dave and Jeff go out on an EVA and accomplish what they did day before yesterday. There is not enough praise that I can give this crew and the way they have been adaptable. When you consider that the checklists and the diagrams were all set up over the teleprinter, and they were able to learn those plans very, very quickly, proves to me that man is needed in space and has a great role to play in the future. And you can't do the types of things we have done up here with unmanned space probes. You need brains, you need minds up here that can think, that are innovative. So I just can't tell you how, in one way, I'm certainly sorry that the SimCom did not work. But it's certainly shown me a side of NASA and what these professional crews can do under very unusual situations. I'm very proud of them.
Senator Rod Jackson, KTVX television in Salt Lake City. Aside from giving a report to the Senate, it seems you also have some discussions to make with the people of the state of Utah and the country, many of whom felt that this was a waste of taxpayers' money. What can you tell them about what you've learned on this particular trip? And on a lighter note, are you ready to reveal what that mystery item was you carried in your personal gear?
Well, first of all, I expected the criticism when I started. There will be some people, it makes no difference what the result of the trip is. They had their mind made up to begin with. But I'm extremely well satisfied with what I've been able to accomplish. I think it has been an overwhelmingly productive mission for me. I have gained knowledge that I think will be invaluable not only to me, but to the Congress as well. And for whatever it costs to go, which has been vastly exaggerated from the very beginning, it will be very well worth it. And I will guarantee the people that out of this trip there will be many, many times more money saved as a result of my insight into the inner processes of NASA than it ever cost to send me to go, whatever that figure is.
Lynn Scher, ABC.
Senator Garn, you said that it was important for NASA that you do the space adaptation syndrome study so that you could bring back specific information. Did you get sick, sir?
Yes, I did. I told you I'd report that, and fortunately, like most of the reports, that if you take medication, you're over it in 2 days, and if you don't, you're over it in 2 days. And I'll be very honest with you, I didn't feel good for 2 days, but I've sure felt fine since. It's been a wonderful experience, absolutely. absolutely fantastic. I'm sorry we have to come down tomorrow. I'm glad we got to stay 2 days longer, and I wish we could figure out some way to stay up longer. This weightlessness, if they'd let me, I'd love to show you how I can do everything Mary Lou Retton can do up here.
Mike Goldstein, KUTV News, Salt Lake City. Senator, we've been at a bit of a disadvantage on the ground. We've seen you with the paper airplane and helping out as a window shade. Other than your medical experiments, how else have you been helping the crew out?
Well, one of the things that you can be very helpful, as simple as it is hand. Until you adapt to weightlessness and learn how to get around, like I say, I wish we could show you. There's a great deal of clumsiness. Things float away. Some of the most simple tasks that I had with my medical experiments became very difficult because of the weightless condition. So I've been able to be helpful a lot of times just when they needed hands. Sewing on the so-called fly swatter, it took a little bit of extra strength that I was able to have. I've taken photographs. I've done some cooking. And in general, just trying to be helpful in the spacecraft in every way that I possibly could.
Stephen Govain, Channel 13, Houston.
For the Senator's boss, Commander Bobko, we heard last time you practiced rendezvous was last summer. What difficulties did you have in that rendezvous procedure and station keeping?
There were no difficulties. Luckily, the checklist or the procedures haven't changed very much. And I think we worked together. We practiced and were ready then. And of course, it would have been comforting to have had a practice session shortly before we came. But we managed through it with, as far as I can tell, no mistakes.
Jeff,
it's a great feeling to be able to rendezvous with a small speck in the sky after it's 100 miles out in front of you, and it's quite something to come up alongside of it at 25,000 feet per second, even though your relative velocity is just inches a second. It really gives you a feeling of awe to see a big satellite out there just a few feet away from the spacecraft.
Jeff Leavenworth, Time Magazine.
Senator Garn, I'm interested in the results of the height and girth experiments. Did you indeed grow 2 inches in space?
No, but I grew 1.5 inches. I'm 6 foot 1 inches tall now, and I wish I could stay that way when I get back on Earth, but I know I won't for more than a few minutes.
Senator Garn, Steve Bosch. Steve Bosch, Times Broadcasting, Times Mirror Broadcasting. Do you have any plans to perhaps take another flight?
Well, I don't have any plans to, and I don't think NASA has any plans for me to, but if they want to ask me, I'll guarantee you I would go again.
This gentleman right here.
Senator Garn, Bill Silcock from KBYU PBS in Salt Lake City. You're quite an avid photographer, and some of your assignment was to take photographs from space. What have you taken pictures of?
Well, today we were taking some pictures of some of the dust storms in Africa. It's absolutely amazing out of the Sahara and the Sahel how much dust blows out into the Atlantic. Also pictures of volcanic activity, states in the ocean, and I've taken a lot of interior pictures of the crew doing various of their assignments and their daily work.
Commander Bobko, a question for you instead of Senator Garn. How have you felt having a senator aboard? And would you recommend that another senator come aboard at some future date to observe? Could you identify yourself? Ed Yates with KSL Television in Salt Lake City.
Well, I can't say how it is to have a senator aboard, but I can certainly say having Jake Garn with us was a pleasure. He has fit in with the crew and has done everything that he possibly can. As I said, when an extra hand was needed, he was ready to lend his. He helped on the swatter the other day, and he has worked around here and fit in quite well. So I think it probably is going to depend on the individuals, but I think we can say, I certainly can say that this one has worked out very well with this crew.
Senator, in response to that, would you recommend that some of your colleagues go on a future flight? Senatorial colleagues.
Yes, but again, I agree with Commander Bobko. I think it depends on the are a senator, but in addition to that, could they qualify to go, and would they fit in, and could they perform a useful function?
Carlos Byers, Houston Chronicle.
For Dave Griggs, I wonder if you could comment on the prospects of doing the EVA on the end of the arm to flip the lever.
Carlos, I think that task could have been done. I think preparing for it might have been a little more difficult than preparing internal to the spacecraft. Here are the two articles that we use, the fly swatter and the lacrosse stick. But I think it could have been done, but I think the decision that we made to go with the apparatus that we used was the proper decision.
Lynn Scher, ABC.
This is really for any one of you. We all had to conjure up images of what it looked like up there while you were creating the fly swatters. Was it an arts and crafts class or what? Can you describe the activities inside the cabin while you were doing all that?
It certainly was. It reminded me of either a Girl Scout camp or something similar. We had bits and pieces of everything out. We were measuring with tape measures and cutting and pasting and wondering what in the world this thing was going to look like when we finished up. And we had this horrible feeling that we were going to put it all together by the directions that Houston gave us, and we were going to show it to them on the TV, and they were going to say, no, that's not what we had in mind.
You have to remember, when we first started building it, we really weren't sure quite what we were building or quite how we were going to use it. That all unfolded as time went by. And of course, whenever we had an opportunity, we'd show them on TV what we had, and they'd tell us how it corresponded to their concept of what was needed. And when we finally got to the end, I think at least they indicated to us that they were quite satisfied, and we understood how they wanted us to use it.
Steve McVicker with NPR for Jeff Hoffman. Jeff, you waited a long time to do this. How did it feel to finally get up there?
It was worth every minute of the wait. This has been an experience of a lifetime.
And were there, other than the EVA, any surprises?
Well, I'll tell you, looking out of the spacecraft at the Earth, I could talk for hours about all the things that I've seen, some of which I'd heard about from other people, some of which I hadn't. But that for me has been one of the biggest surprises and the most overwhelming pleasures. Just at least 3 or 4 times a day, I'm just overwhelmed by something new that I see that I had never even imagined before.
Steve Olaf?
Just as an example, every time the spacecraft goes through sunrise or sunset, the Earth below us goes black, and yet the sun is still shining on the orbiter. But it's not just the orbiter that's flying up here. We're accompanied by a cloud of ice crystals, and it's like trailing a luminescent galaxy behind us. leaving streams of hundreds of thousands of little particles spinning over and over, all different colors, because the ones that are right up with them tend to be white, and as they're a little bit lower in altitude, they get the rays of the setting sun. So you get the whole spectrum of white and yellow and reddish particles all floating around us, and it's just it's awe-inspiring.
Steve Olafson, Houston Post, for Commander Bobko. Do you think a retrieval of the CENTCOM could be accomplished?
I certainly feel that you can make another rendezvous with the CENTCOM. Now, what it would take to put it back into the bay, I haven't studied that problem, and somebody on the ground will have to make that decision. Certainly, if it was, if it were possible to get up and we can get up and get to it, but that's only half of the task.
Jules Bergman? For Ray Seddon, you and the other 6 outside of Bow, this was your first flight. Can you describe for us in detail some of the sensations, feelings you felt?
Well, I think, our first experience, of course, was with Ascent, and we had heard stories and ridden in simulators, but I think all of us didn't quite know what to expect, and that was quite a ride. I think all of us were, when we first got up here, sort of looked at each other kind of like, boy, what was that? But I think we were really elated that we had gotten here and that the vehicle had performed as well as it had. And then we went through a couple of days of just getting used to working around. For the first couple of days, we kept slamming into the ceilings and into the walls and being very awkward about doing things and learning how to work in zero-G. Since then, we have gone efficiently about our tasks and have really enjoyed it and have tried to find some time to look out the window and just see what zero-G is like. And by this time in the flight, it is just an absolute pleasure to be here.
Are you ready for your...
Jules, I take back my autograph on my 41D picture.
Charlie's been here before, too.
Frank Seltzer, CNN. I was going to ask Charlie if he had an easy time getting his space legs back.
Well, I've had them back for some time now. Had a good time since I arrived, like we all have. It's one super experience, Frank, and it starts off with the biggest elevator ride in the world, and from that point on, it's a strange and new experience. Really wonderful. Yeah, I'll get my ground legs back one of these days, too.
Hey, we've got time for one.
Let me just make a further comment about being here. It is far beyond any anticipation that a human being can have. All I dreamed about being in space was nothing compared to what it really is. And every day I just pinch myself and think, this can't be real. I told Jeff and Dave as they came back in from the EVA that I had watched the whole thing from the windows on the flight deck. And all the time I was watching, I thought, this can't be real. I'm not here. I'm not seeing this. This is on TV. And I'm sure after we all get back, we're going to feel the same way. That didn't really happen because it's so spectacular. It's so beautiful to see the Earth from this level and the sunrise and the sunsets and see whole continents go by so rapidly. It really is an unbelievable dream come true for all of us.
Craig Kowalt, Aviation.
I'll tell you something else that really gave me an incredible feeling of what a different world we're in. I enjoy looking out the windows at night, not only to look at the stars, but to look down at the Earth, because it's beautiful seeing the thunderstorms and the lights of the cities. And as I was looking out on the nighttime path of one orbit, a meteor went underneath us. I've seen many meteors because I spend a lot of time looking up at the stars, but the realization that I had seen a meteor go underneath me just totally boggled my mind, and it really put me in my place and made me realize where we were and what we were doing.
Craig Kowalt, Aviation Week. For Dave Griggs, Dave, we watched what I think would probably be described as the ultimate flying leap
when you went out over the side and down off the orbiter. Could you describe that from your perspective?
It was a 10 for difficulty and a .2 for form.
Okay, we'll take one more question.
I was down near the keel when the tether reel started pulling me back up towards the sill. And once it started me up, I was on my way. So I just kind of relaxed and let it take me over to the wing and then back to the sill assembly. But it was a nice ride and I enjoyed it. Bo was a little nervous inside, but I allowed his Hal that there wasn't anything to worry about.
This is Mike Goldstein from KUTV Salt Lake City again. Senator, after describing the spectacular nature of your flight, are you going to find Senate life a little mundane now?
Well, yes and no. Senate life can be mundane and boring at times, and other times very exciting. And I suppose when I get back, I'll go through those same periods. Some days when we have those late night sessions, think, what in the world are we doing here, listening to all this hot air? And other days, it will be very, very exciting.
Discovery, this is Houston PAO. We'll end this news conference now. We thank you for your time, and we'll hand you back to the Capcom now. Thank you.
And Discovery, I understand that we would like you to keep the cabin TV available for that event also before you stow it. We're planning on doing that per the cap for today on the teleprompter message. Roger that, and only one camera is required. Okay. Same one you used for the conference be all right, or well, we'll leave them both out. Be a camera for backup that way. Okay. Whatever you want to do.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Thank you. I thought maybe I might have missed you. Well, listen, we know you've had some frustrations up there, but overall I think we can all be proud of the fourth mission of the Discovery and all that you've accomplished. We've been watching down here, and I mean all of America, and I want you to know that we're rooting for you all. We saw a lot of human ingenuity at work, making the fly swatter-like tool, and as we watched Jeff Hoffman and Dave Griggs install it on the Discovery's arm, we had to acknowledge that was great work, and we're calling all of you up there now the SWAT team. I want to congratulate astronauts Bobko and Williams on the maneuvers you've been putting the shuttle through. This is the 16th shuttle to go up, and we're learning more about its versatility every trip. I've seen you playing, I mean demonstrating, with balls and jacks and yo-yos and even a slinky toy in the zero gravity of space. And now I know you're doing this to make some educational videotapes for students learning about the laws of physics. That's really the best thing about our space program, the inspiration and challenge that it gives our young people. You've been conducting extensive tests on the human body's blood flow and digestion. And I want to ask astronaut physician Ray Seddon, how are these tests working out? And Ray, I'd also like to commend you on your dexterity in hitting that pin on the side of the satellite. If you don't mind, I could think of a job on a ranch in California that you might be interested in. But Senator Garn, I know that you're taking part in the health experiments, and Jake, how are you doing? You're doing a fine job up there, but I could use your help down here right now in getting the federal budget under control and arranging assistance for some people fighting for their freedom in Central America, so don't stay up there too long. No, Jake, maybe in around...
Well, Mr. President, I'm doing just great. I've missed you, but I'll be back on Tuesday. I'm well aware of the vote on the Nicaraguan aid on Tuesday night, and I'll be voting just the way you'd like me to when I get back.
Well, God bless you. And you know, Jake, maybe in around 4 years or so, you could use your influence with NASA to get a certain retired politician a ride on the space shuttle. Well, I just want all of you to know how proud we are of you. Good luck, and God be with all of you. Anyone else?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We certainly enjoy being here, and I'm sure you realize that we're just the people in space who are the working edge of the great team that's on the ground supporting us. Thanks again.
Well, you're a great team up there, and we're all very proud of you. God bless you.
Discovery Houston.
Go ahead, Bob.
Don, we've got a procedure for you on that APC on the gas encoder. If you're ready to copy.
You want me to just work through it, or you want me to write it down and do it and come back?
Well, it's simple. We just need you to go in the payload ops checklist, go to page 7-5, and do the emergency shutdown procedure. And all we'd like is a readout from you when the last step is to check the display, and we'd like to know what you get on that final display.
Okay, let me do that and get right back to you.
And Don, when you do that, that'll be on relay 03 using the same APC you have out.
Okay, I'm using serial number 5.
Roger, copy.
Okay, Houston, I did the emergency shutdown procedure and it stopped reading minus 03 minus.
Roger, Don, we copy. That should finish it up then. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start the controller.
Your go for that. Discovery Houston.
Yes, sir.
In our continuing quest to find things for you to do, we'd like to get a software dump of your GNC machine, GPC-1, with using SSR2. We're going to take a look at some of that data.
Okay, software dump of the GNC and IM42 is still 112.
That's affirmative.
We'll get right on that.
Okay, and if you're ready to do that, we'll just take it live over TDRS.
Let's get the book out and we'll be with you here in just a minute. Bob or Ray, start the dump if y'all want to take it.
And Don, we're ready to receive it.
Coming at you. Looks like the dump's complete, and that'll give the folks down there something to look at.
Okay, thanks, Don. And we're scratching our heads trying to come up with some more DTOs for you, so we'll get back with you later.
Okay.